Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. These are recorded live Friday, new time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch the show live, participate in the chat, or just see all the shenanigans in real time, go ahead and join us on over there, or just keep watching these edited down versions, whichever way you guys like. And let's go ahead and get starting in on the news here today. So the first, we have a couple a few combined stories here. So we're going to start with this one here. This is from The Guardian. I feel constantly watched. The employees working under surveillance. So this deals with the modern trend of having employee monitoring software, which isn't just for at-home employees, but it's being on your office computers as well. And so a lot of these jobs now, they're relying some form of monitoring system, and they're just trying to determine, if the mouse isn't jiggling around or the screen hasn't changed, you're simply not active. They're like, and I've seen a lot of people like on Reddit comment on these types of setups and jobs where, believe it or not, unless you're like a web developer or a software developer or some type of developer that's writing code, there's going to be parts of your job that do not require working on the computer screen. Even the developers, there's parts of your job. I mean, if I'm sitting down here to do a new website layout or something, I'm marking it up on paper first. I might sit here looking at a few different sites. It looks like I'm just browsing the net, and I might not touch the mouse for a good half an hour while putting some serious thought. And then some people are saying, hey, you're working on something, you can't save it. Well, what does every success guru tell you? The solution is, if you're really hung up on a problem, set it down, walk away, take a 5-minute break, do something, walk down the hallway, get a cup of coffee, drink some water, say hi to a coworker, come back, and miraculously you all of a sudden know the solution to the problem that's been staring you in the face for a long time. Okay. So that's one of those factors people are suggesting. And the reality is, we have to consider that as a possibility. So all of these employees having this monitoring software may be looking at the wrong thing. So they jump in every 10 minutes. May's computer snapshots her screen. Thanks to monitoring software, her employer made her install on her laptop. A figure looms large over her workday, her activity score percentage calculated by arbitrary measure of how much she types and moves her mouse. It's hovering at 62% when we speak. That's quite good. If on a Zoom call, that counts as 0% activity, even though I'm in a meeting, she says, adding that she watches videos and attends calls regularly as part of her role. She's 20, who's in her 20s, was one of many workers who got in touch with The Guardian to share their experience of being monitored. She works remotely in a marketing company where surveillance has become part of the job. Employees use Hubstaff, one of a myriad of monitoring tools that companies turned into the koofies, forced many to work remotely. Some of these as Clever Control or Flexi Spy. Are they also at Facebook headquarters? Flexi Spy. What's your address? One hacker way. Gotcha. Offer webcam monitoring and audio recording. May says she often has dry eyes and a sore head at the end of the working day. Tracking doesn't allow time for thinking, stepping away, or coming back to work. It's very intense. So basically, everyone's saying the same thing. The software just makes you more paranoid. It's like the red light cameras. Red light cameras cause more crashes and more other problems because you're far more paranoid at this thing because there's no person there that can see the context of what's going on. You go an inch over that line and boom, you get a $1,000+ ticket by a completely unautomated system that has no real humans working in the background, and all it's doing is making people so paranoid that they'll slam on their brakes and car behind them will crash into them. They'll roll them into the thing, and then you'll get the ticket anyway. Now you have a messed up back bumper because everyone's slamming on the brakes. Well, the same type of stuff is happening. This is actually hurting productivity among the employees, although it's just all part of this analytics culture. Analytics. It's all the analytics. How well is it doing? You know what? Here's a thought. Okay, assign your workers a task, and if your task is getting done, what do you care? Okay. If I'm hiring you to do some element I need done in my business, I don't really care what or how long it took you to do it, as long as you do the task and I'm going to pay you. Now, if we're like, okay, I'm going to pay you such and such per hour, and it seems unreasonable, like right now I'm doing is it's uploading massive amounts of MP3 files for a store, and I have to manually put everyone in. I'm just thinking it might actually be worth me paying somebody, $30-$40 to finish it for me so I can get on my life and on to other things. If I pay a database monkey, $15 or $10 under the table or something, just be like, do that, Of course, they'd have to claim that on their taxes if that's their thing, basically as a contractor, We look at all this and go, okay, that's the thing. It might be more worth my time to do, but I don't care as long as it looks reasonable. If they're saying, well, it took me 15 hours to put those in and I know I can do them in 2, we're going to have a conversation about your hours. But if it's reasonable, okay, it might take me 2 hours. It takes you 3 hours. Sure, that's still a lot of savings on my time. That's the type of stuff we're looking at. Why do all these companies care so much? Of course, this is an update. This one made the social media rounds this week. It was actually an update to an article from last year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we actually might have covered this article last year as well. JP Morgan is watching. The nation's largest bank keeps tabs on its workforce from their office attendants to emails and Zoom calls. So last year they put this into place. But the first few paragraphs of this are new this year. So this is updated because they're pushing more employees to come back. So basically, the staff that is like executive level have to be in the office and available 5 days a week. Now the rest of the staff needs to be in the floor and at least 3 times a week. But everybody who's working needs to have this employee monitoring software. And so in April, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon ordered bank's highest level executives to return to the office 5 days a week and be visible on the floor. High-profile CEO ordered everyone else to return to the office 3 days a week or face corrective action, they said, according to a copy of the memo obtained by the insider. They were inside, you see. Since then, the bank's ability to monitor its hundreds of thousands of global employees has become a hot topic, refueling the conversations on Reddit, Facebook, and Blind. So last year, Insider correspondent unearthed details about their monitoring systems by speaking to roughly a dozen people currently or recently employed by the bank. They explained how the bank tracks everything from office attendance to the time spent on Zoom calls and composing emails. He documented what he learned in a series of stories, and the rest of this is the article from last year. Basically, we have the tracking software. It monitors what you're doing. It monitors ambient sound. It monitors mouse clicks, computer typing, all this type of stuff, and then gives you a score based on how much it thinks you might actually be working or not working, depending on what they are saying. So, then this whole article is a lot of raising awareness, what's going on, and causing a lot of question. How much is it really appropriate to be monitoring the employees when you're doing work? I just think if you have good management, get along with your employees, and you assign specific tasks, and if those tasks are getting met, what do you care? But of course, I understand that there's a little bit, there's obviously people that will shave a little bit of time here and there. But, time shaving does happen. We just have to recognize that as a fact and build for it and understand it's there and manage it. But is monitoring and tracking absolutely everything you do the solution? I don't think so. Our next 2 articles here are from Amazon. So Amazon settles with the FTC. Now, there's 2 separate Amazon cases. Both of them are mentioned in our next article, but this one has not been as widely reported as the other one, but they're both relevant because, as I've always warned before, even if the company you're dealing with has the absolute best security, you still have to deal with the employees. And if the employees are not having scruples, they don't really care. They're like, hey, look at all this data. Let's see what people are up to. You're going to have a lot of issues. So there's 2 separate cases. One of these is a $25 million suit settled with the FTC for flouting the privacy deletions and privacy requests. Of course, as based on COPPA, they can't willingly collect data on kids. If they find out they collect data on kids, they have to delete it, unless, of course, you're that free TV they're trying to give away, the television, where they're like, hey, can we really do this? Is this something in there? Yeah, they basically left the lawyer's edited notes in the original release. Talk about high confidence in your product. So Amazon's going to pay $25 million penalty. What is that? The first second of daily operations for one day. Is that what that is? I'm sure Amazon is in total pain over this $25 million penalty. They're like, ouch, ouch. As well as overhaul its deletion practices and implement a stringent privacy safeguards to avoid charging or violations of COPPA. So basically what they were doing is, of course, these things are perpetually listening. And I got news for you. If you've got a Ring camera, it doesn't matter if you see the feed coming through. Your Ring camera is always recording and accessible to the Amazon employees and anyone else listening in. The problem is you only get the notification if something moves in front of it. You see how that works? So you think, oh, it's okay that I didn't get any feedback. That camera's still listening. So more of that discussion about, having your cameras in your churches and whatnot. So Amazon voice interface Alexa, so this is dealing with Alexa, has been used in homes across the globe for years. Any parent who has one knows that kids love to play with it. Make it tell jokes, use it for its intended purpose, whatever it is. In fact, it was so obviously useful to kids who can't write or have disabilities that the FTC relaxed the COPPA rules to accommodate reasonable usage. Certain service-specific analysis of kids' data, like transcription, was allowed as long as it did not retain any longer than, quote, reasonably necessary, end quote. It seems that Amazon may have taken a rather expansive view on reasonable necessity, timescale, keeping kids' speech data more or less forever. Additionally, there were requests put forth from parents to delete data, and they never did. So basically, they were using Rings, Alexas, anything that they could, harvest as much data as they could, use it any way they wanted. They didn't care if it was kids or adults. They were not responding to deletion requests. So the FTC comes by and issues them this $25 million fine and tells them they have to reiterate this. So the FTC commissioners, I just love this. We have a commissioner named Slaughter. Great. So Slaughter says, the commission alleges that Amazon kept kids' data indefinitely to further refine its voice recognition algorithm. Amazon is not alone in apparently seeking to amass data to refine its machine learning models. Right now, with the advent of large language models, the tech industry as a whole is sprinting to do the same. Today's settlement sends a message to those companies. Yeah, the message sends to the companies, go ahead and do it because you're going to make a lot more money than our fine. That's the message you just sent. You're telling me we fined Amazon $25 million. Really? Really? Yeah, they don't care. $25 million is nothing. So that's that. So this is what the order would do. Prohibit Amazon from using geolocation, voice information, and children's voice information subjected to consumers' deletion requests for creation or improvement of data. Require the company to delete inactive Alexa accounts of children. Require Amazon to notify users about this action against the company. Require Amazon to notify users of its retention and deletion practices. Of course, if deleting it just means that you can't access it anymore. So there you have it. Mandate the creation and implementation of a privacy program. Yeah. So there's that. Now, of course, not to be undone, this one's actually even smaller. So this fine was a $5.8 million fine. So what is this? The first quarter of a millisecond of Amazon's daily operations comes in. First quarter of a millisecond shows up. You got to pay us $5.8 million, Amazon. Take that. We're sending you a message. Yeah, the message was a bad joke. This one had to deal with, once again, even if your security is good, even if hackers couldn't get in there, this case dealt with rogue employees. So back before all the security implementation was in place, and I covered this on my Ring tinfoil hat time video in January. Back when they first got it, there was no end-to-end encryption, and every employee of the company had access to every Ring feed. Now today, they said, well, we've overhauled this. You have to explicitly give permission to get the information. So how does that work? Because you have to mark a checkbox that the person explicitly gave you permission? It sounds to me like the employees who are rogue can still go in and get any information that they want. They just need your explicit permission. How does that work? Do I have to send you something? Do I have to go in and toggle a check button that you don't have any access to on the back end? No, it sounds to me like they can still access it. They would just be doing it without permission, which is the whole point, because this is an unscrupulous employee who's already breaking the laws and the rules. They don't care. It's like those criminals. They don't care. We're going to make it double illegal to do such and such. It's already illegal. It's already illegal. So this is a former Ring doorbell camera unit spied on female customers for months in 2017 with cameras placed in bedrooms and bathrooms. Ew. Why would you have a Ring camera in your bathroom? Like, if you're throwing a dinner party and you really, really want to make your guests wonder, put yourself up a Ring camera in the bathroom pointing towards the toilet. Make people go, wait, huh? See how long it is before that camera is turned around or something. But yeah, I mean, people are literally putting these things in your bedrooms. I've seen people putting these Ring cameras in their children's bedrooms. First and foremost, do your children not change in your bedroom? Do you really think that's appropriate? Do you really want, not only you, but it keeps me safe. See, I can check on my kids from my phone at work. Yeah, so can everybody else with access to the internet, everybody at the company, and, all sorts of creepers that are online. But when this employee was caught, they had reached a settlement for $5.8 million for something that happened 6 years ago. The second paragraph deals with the one we just covered in detail. So the settlement's the agency's latest effort to hold big tech accountable. We are going to hold you accountable, Amazon, a grand total of $30 million. Okay, 1 second just passed. We just made $30 million. All right, want to send that? Guys, send him $40 million. Give him an extra $10 million for his efforts. Amazon purchased Ring in 2018. They pledged to make changes. They say, of course, we disagree with the FTC's claims regarding Alexa and Ring, deny violating the law, but these settlements put the matter behind us. So we're not admitting any guilt here. We'll just go ahead and pay you to make it go away because this is not worth it, So that's really is the case. So just be aware, rogue employees can still access these types of things, and that is dangerous enough. On to our chief article here, how to determine exactly what personal information Microsoft Edge knows about you. Now, most of this deals with the stuff that you effectively opt into by not turning off permissions when you load it. By default, Edge and Chrome and even Firefox, they collect a lot of data by default. By default, Firefox collects your address and stores it. It stores your credit card numbers. It stores your search history. It stores all this stuff, and you'll see you explicitly go through the settings and turn it off. Now, what I have warned about for a long time, and I really wish people would take it more seriously, the reason Google is pushing these logins, the reason Microsoft switched to the Chrome base, and the reason Microsoft is pushing Edge on everybody, and the reason Microsoft is pushing Microsoft accounts everywhere is to get you logged into that browser. Because if everything is being controlled on the client-side computer, it's controlled by the cookies, it's controlled by your specific computer and your specific local variables, you have control over that. But if your browser is signed in to Google, or in this case, Microsoft, all of that data is being stored on their servers, not on yours. And even if you de facto delete it, it's not really deleted. It's deleted from your view. They still have a record of it. This is why you need to make sure you disable all this stuff. But this article went further than just those basic defaults. This article, the people said, this thing was collecting information. I don't know what it got or where it got it. So users should be aware of what personal information. So to make the overall user experience better and more productive, web browsers collect and store personal information about you on your internet activity. Now, again, if you're storing this explicitly on your local computer, that's fine. The problem is this stuff is being synced up to your Microsoft account. So it's not that just that these things are on your local browser and nuke your local browser all goes away. No, it all stays in your Microsoft account. That's really the problem. So here is a guide about information. Determine exactly what they have about you. So, of course, this is just going into the settings for the browser itself. Here's your profiles, personal information, and, of course, save and fill basic info. automatically fill info on sign-up forms. So if you have those selected, it's going to create all these different accounts and things. Now, where figure D is where the question mark came in. If you scroll down the page, you'll see a section labeled custom info. That section should also be pruned for any unwanted personal data. In our example, Edge had saved someone else's bank information. It's not mine, he says. Regardless, it should not have saved, and I don't know why or when it was saved. That's kind of weird. Very interesting indeed. So when you're finished with pruning the process, navigate back to Profiles page, click the passwords list. Of course, here's your passwords. You want to save and turn off autofill passwords. And then over here, it's getting passwords for a lot of different companies. Again, a lot of this stuff is stored on the browser locally. The problem is, this is the type of stuff that is all synced into your Microsoft account if your browser is signed in. So if you were to create a new computer, you can just automatically sync this stuff over. So he says here, I haven't worked at CNET for almost 10 years. Edge still remembers the old passwords. Presumably, he didn't have Edge 10 years ago because Edge is not 10 years old in this current form. So he would have had to migrate. I'm guessing he probably got a new computer, at least one new computer in the last 10 years. I'm sure data was migrated at some point in time. So this guy is still holding on to old passwords. It was migrated from accounts to accounts, computers to computers without purging it. A lot of this is just your local browser settings, but a lot of this is into your Microsoft account as well. And that raises a lot of serious questions that we have to be concerned with. All right, so let's move on. We're actually highlighting the sponsor this week. So MALIBAL computers, and I just got one in the mail today to look at, and there was a fun fiasco about getting it. We won't get into it. It's just a funny story, but I haven't had a chance to actually open the box yet. So it's sitting in there for me to look at my friend's house, and I'll open up as soon as I can. But over here, you can jump on over to MALIBAL computers. Use my link there, tlm.li/MALIBAL. They have high-end computers. They will start up closer to $1,000, and then they'll go up from there. But these are super, super high-end customizable systems, and you can get them with Linux pre-installed on them as well. So if you want to customize this guy here, we have Intel processors. They are working on AMD processors. They should be out later on this year, is what they said to me. But right now we have Intel processors. We have memory, and then you can come on down. You can choose what type of memory you want. Do you want SSDs or whatever else? Here we have Windows options. We have Linux Mint options. We have Kubuntu and Ubuntu options. Or you can just say, hey, just give me a computer with an empty disk in it. I'll go ahead and deal with that myself. So you can go ahead and use that. MALIBAL computers, tlm.li/MALIBAL, MALIBAL. With that, let's move on over to security news. We're going to try and run through these here pretty quick, keep our timestamp down a little bit. So first up, it is a day ending in Y, and that means there's another WordPress hack. This one was 5 million websites. This one here makes me giggle because the major plugin here was Jetpack. You know that plugin that they pretty much force on everybody, brutally so, constant pop-ups, install our crap, install our crap, install our crap, install our crap. Okay, this is the crap that they gave us, and it's highly susceptible. Major zero-day exploits. They actually forced an update on everybody's site that was running this particular crappy plugin that nobody should run because it takes the bloated WordPress and makes it a giant, bloaty, fat pig sitting in the slop. Jetpack is garbage. If you want to completely kill your site's functionality, install Jetpack. Yet everyone does because WordPress pushes it on you so forcefully. And it was highly compromised. It was allowing people to bust in here with all sorts of crap. And so as of May 30th, Jetpack 12.1.1 was downloaded and installed on more than 4.35 million websites. So 4.3 million websites were automatically updated without your consent. Funny how they could just do that. That makes up roughly 45% of the entire WordPress ecosystem, meaning roughly 55% is left unprotected. No, 55% is smart enough not to run this crap. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, stop acting like every WordPress website has this garbage, nonsense, stupid, bloated crap installed. It doesn't. That's 45% were the morons that are now protected from the 55% who are smart enough not to run this crap. All right. I hope I wasn't unclear about the Jetpack plugin. If you're running WordPress, you might want to see if you have Jetpack installed and then go, do I really need this? Is it worth Tom's wrath? I don't know. You decide for yourself. But just be aware, Jetpack, vulnerable. All right. So this was a dental insurance company. 8.9 million individual records were breached. They got basically every bit of information. The breach occurred March 6th. MCNA, if that is your dental insurance company, you probably have been notified about such a breach already. If you haven't been notified, what all did they get? Well, this is the patchwork of data that they may or may not have gotten from 8.9 million accounts. Your full name, date of birth, address, phone number, email, social security number, driver's license numbers, government issued identification number, health insurance information, plan, insurer, government payer, member, Medicaid, Medicare ID number, plan or group number, and information regarding dental or orthodontic care. But don't worry, guys, they didn't get your credit card information, okay? It's all good. Your credit card is safe. You know, the one piece of data that you can snap in half, make one phone call, and get a new one, that wasn't compromised. But that's okay. Everything else was. Don't worry about it. It's kind of like we need to pass a law to make sure no private information is on the internet except where 100% necessary. We should go back to like paper files, but it's inconvenient. Yes, it is. And so is everything that is smart. I'm going to sacrifice my life on the altar of convenience. No, thank you. A popular Android app, my Google Play, began secretly spying on its users months after it was listed on Google Play. So this is an app, 50,000 downloads. This was iScreen Recorder. Look at your phones right now. If you have iScreen Recorder, uninstall it now. Now. But it's my best screen recorder ever. No, it's malware. So they got it up there. It was approved for Google. And just within a few months, all of a sudden, it's malware. It's spying on everything you're doing. It's running AHRAT and a customized version of the open source access Trojan called AHMyth. Remote access Trojans or rats take advantage of broad access to victims' device, can include remote control, but also function similar to spyware or stalkerware. So they can basically see absolutely everything you're doing. This particular app started taking screen recordings and devices. It was intercepting any passwords, basically doing whatever the people would want your phone to do just by simply installing this app that's on the Google Play Store. You see, as I'm going to argue in my video for tomorrow on Snap Package desktops, this is precisely why Snap Packages are a bad idea. Because Snap Packages, they're not auditing all the code. They're just trusting the developer. Once the developer gets an app in, they're trusted. Yay! And then the malware comes. They don't know if it was the company that planned to get it in there and then deploy malware, or if they just got it in there, got all excited, and didn't pay any attention, and then somebody got in there and pushed a malicious update. We don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. So here's another one. 421 million apps, or 421 million different phones were compromised by a variety of apps. This is spread over about 100 different apps. This had the Spin OK malware. So in the Spin OK malware, I think this one is is this a coupon code, I think? Yeah, it'll give you like these pop-ups for like games and all sorts of other stuff, daily rewards, games, things like that. All sorts of fun stuff. So these are actually the list of apps. Well, these are the top downloads. There were 101 different apps. These ones here: Noise, Zappa, VFly, MVBit, Bluego, Crazy Drop, Catch. Do people download this crap on a regular? Are people sitting here going, "What should I download? Let's download Noise." Ooh. Why? But this is the problem. So of course these things had all these. Of course, don't download your stuff from F-Droid. Google says the sideloading stuff is dangerous. Use our app store instead and get totally infected with Trojans and malware. Great, how wonderful. You should stick to F-Droid. Every app on F-Droid is audited before it goes out. Okay, audited and malware free. All right, file archive in the browser. We warned about this, was it only like last week or 2 weeks ago, where Google released .zip TLDs onto the internet, and we're like, are you crazy? Because .zip files are used by a lot of the internet to send files around. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to land on a .zip website instead of downloading a .zip file. Two completely different things to land on a website versus downloading a file. Both which may be malicious, but at least when you're downloading the file, you're aware you're downloading a file. When you're going to the domain, you think you're downloading a file and you're not. We talked about how this is a bad idea, and somebody is already exploiting it in the wild as we speak. So with that, new phishing technique called File Archiver in the browser can be used by phishers to emulate a file archiver software in a web browser when a victim visits a .zip domain. The security researcher Mr. Docs, detailed in the new attack technique. Brand new tech technique. Isn't it great to have .zip domains on the website now? Great. May 2023, Google launched 8 new TLDs, including .zip and .move. Security experts are warning of malicious uses of these domains, you think. To carry out an attack using this technique, the attacker needs to emulate a file archive software through HTML, CSS. The researcher shared 2 examples. One emulates WinRAR file archive utility, and the second Windows 11 File Explorer, which, by the way, can now open up 7-zip and RAR files. So here it is. This redirects to the phishing page. This installs invoice.exe. And then the researcher noted that numerous Twitter users emphasized the Windows File Explorer search bar as an effective delivery. Several people, I think that's just that. So several people pointed out on Twitter, Windows File Explorer is a good delivery vector. If the user searches for mrdocs.zip and it doesn't exist on the machine, it will automatically open the browser. Isn't this so great how Microsoft just wants to make everything so user-friendly? You type in the name of the zip file and it doesn't exist, so it goes to the malicious domain automatically instead. Or you guys can just switch to Linux and not have to deal with that nonsense. So there's that. So we are now seeing the .zip domain exploited in the wild. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page. I use this for all my different pages. Patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there and you can help support the channel over on that site there. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.